Alrighty guys, welcome back to the channel. We're back on the internet together again today. We're talking Dan Andrews. He's been copping it, more specifically from James Packer. Let's watch these videos and have a chat about it.
Daniel Andrews, meantime, is yet to respond after billionaire businessman James Packer unleashed on the former Victorian Premier on a podcast on Rampart over the weekend. Live to Jack Nyhoff. He's covering this story in Melbourne for us. Jack, this was quite the spray, but no response from Daniel Andrews yet.
We haven't heard anything from the former Premier Daniel Andrews this morning. We've reached out for comment. Daniel Andrews is a popular man this morning. He's under attack on two fronts. One from a tradie Melbourne street artist who's painted this Dictator Dan mural behind me. And the other, of course, is a billionaire businessman in James Packer. Of course, he's the former majority shareholder and chair of Crown Resorts. He says he's called Daniel Andrews some very strong words on a podcast. He says he was portrayed by the former Premier when he introduced a surprise tax which derailed a deal against Crown Resorts, and says that he portrayed a cause that would see Crown compensated if a tax was applied. Have a bit of a listen to what he said.
Daniel Andrews is about my least favourite person in the world. I think Daniel Andrews not only ruined Victoria, he almost ruined my life. I couldn't speak more lowly of Daniel Andrews. I think he's human filth.
So how is that? Really think about it. A lot of people have called Dan Andrews a lot worse. I don't think that's outrageous at all. Especially think about the perspective of James Packer. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not a fan of gambling and all of that, but he's a billionaire trying to run deals, and he's had Dan Andrews come and scuttle it. I'm sure he's probably lost a pretty penny through that. Not to say the least, how everybody, you, me, all you fellow Melburnians, and Victorians for that matter, what we had to endure during the lockdowns. Nothing more than a perfect example of somebody who was drunk with power, coming up day after day on those morning presentations they were doing with the COVID figures. He was him and Sutton was there with him, Brett Sutton, I think his name is, coming out saying, oh, we got one case overnight. We had one case. We got to lock down the whole state. It's going to be a short, sharp circuit breaker, if you guys remember that terminology. Short, sharp circuit breaker. Now, this was in 2020, I believe. Early days 2020. And so, I would say most people would have been on board with it because people were scared. The media was scaring everybody with COVID-19. It was the end of the world. This has never happened before. The whole world's going to explode. So we all get locked up. That 2 weeks goes by. That 2 weeks becomes a month, becomes 2 months, becomes 3 months. We're getting locked up for months at a time. Only allowed to go for an hour walk a day, and you can't go out after 8 p.m. at night because for some reason maybe there was more COVID around after 8 p.m. But it was fine, to go out for a walk and mingle with other people or be near other people at, lunchtime. But after 8 p.m., no, you can't have that. You can't go any more than a few kilometres from your home. They've got police out there enforcing that, checking people, checking your licence where you live. People getting fined. You'd see news. You'd see the news reports. There was national news about a guy going and, it made national news, a guy in Melbourne going and buying a Big Mac. That was more than 5 kilometres from his house, and he got pinged, or some guy who went and bought a curry that was 10 kilometres away, drove to an Indian restaurant. That was news. They had kids on the rocks down at the beach drinking beers, and they had the air wing with spotlights on them. Just have a think about it. Then think about all the damage that was done to families. A lot of relationships failed in that time due to stress. Businesses blew up. A lot of people, more specifically a lot of men, ending themselves. Because everything is just, there's no control. Got no control in their life. The government's locked everything down. Businesses collapsed. Relationships are collapsed. Then you got kids. Kids during their most formative years locked inside. locked inside, having to do school remotely. And I want to think about this. Now think about this, guys. So we put up with all this stuff. Most people went about it. If you questioned it, you were called a cooker or a nutcase or you're non-compliant. Everyone was pushing people, twisting your arm to get jabs, workplaces more specifically, locking people out or telling them you don't have a job unless you get your vaccinations and then they follow up booster shots. And then all of a sudden one day it stopped. Remember that? It was the only thing that was on the news. And then it just stopped. Like it would never even existed. You forgot it was even there because we hit the 95% vaccination rate or 90% vaccination rate or whatever they were forcing people to do. Under duress, many people, because they don't want to lose their homes. Because they want to have a job. Now, we're not forcing you. It's completely voluntary. Oh, yeah, but by the way, you can't go to work unless you have it. There's no coercion here. You're signing up to that. All right, good rant. Let's move on to the next one.
Billionaire James Packer has lashed out at former Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews, who of course pushed Victoria into the world's longest lockdown during 2020. But James Packer has taken aim at the Labor politician's economic management of the state, calling him human filth. This was in an interview with Joe Aston's digital news site Rampart, and Packer has given a pretty scathing assessment of Daniel Andrews. Let's listen to this.
Daniel Andrews is about my least.
That too, and if we need any reminder...
We don't need to watch that, so I'm skipping past. I need to watch it twice. You called him human filth. As I said, many other people have called him a lot more. And you got a lot of people saying Dan did a great job. He saved the state. Yada, yada, yada. Now, let's go beyond COVID-19. Look at where we are now. That's Dan Andrews' legacy. The joint is completely bankrupt. We're broke. Taxing people. Taxing mum and dads. Taxing everyone. Finding little ways how to get more money. Increase. Go look at your council rates. They went up quite a bit this year. About 10% from last year. Maybe a bit more. Go and check them. Land tax. Business levies on fire levies on small businesses, small and medium businesses. You can't make it up. What are they talking about? They had a productivity summit. I know I'm ranting today, so if you guys aren't here for a rant, well, I don't know why you're here in the first place, because you're going to get one whether you like it or not. We have the productivity summit. The greatest minds, leaders in government and in business, in industry, all came together. What came out of that? Ways to tax people, not to increase productivity. Do the absolute opposite. Tax you. Then what's going on in society at the moment? We've got, especially in Victoria, it's absolutely rampant. There's cigarettes. There's all this, just down the road from me, the tobacconist there, selling the Mannies, selling the Manchesters and double happinesses, for $10 a pack. Firebombed the whole joint. Burnt, gutted right out, surrounding businesses taken down as well. Why? Because the government is overtaxing people for cigarettes. Everyone's going to the black market and it's created this huge war. Turf war. Firebombings going on. All over some tax money. And what do? They don't go, you know what, we're losing here. People are going in droves to buy their cigarettes illegally, should we say. Illegally, let's put it in quotes. From another organised crime racket that isn't the government. It's just one organised crime racket against another. Let's not reduce that tax or get rid of it to stop all this and to maybe claw back something. No. Let's put the tax up. They put them up 5%. Anyway, I know I'm ranting about smokes, but joint's cooked.
Of just what Dan Andrews is truly like. This was his message to Victorians in 2020.
Hundreds of thousands of Victorians who've rung the police assistance line because they've had a suspicion that next door or across the road or down the street are doing the wrong thing. and they're doing the right thing and they're angry about it. And some people have sort of looked down their nose at that, dobbing in your neighbour. Well,
yeah, that's it. It goes to show you what humans are capable of, how compliant you are. You're getting locked up. You got to dob people in. If they have a person come over with a couple of beers and, you're not supposed to have someone in your house. Dan Andrews said you couldn't. Ring up the police hotline. It really showed you how subservient and easily controlled the herd is. That person isn't your bubble buddy. I've seen other people come here. That's not your bubble buddy. I'm calling up the hotline.
No neighbour has the right to do the wrong thing. We've all got to see this through.
Dobbing in your neighbour. I mean, that's his legacy. That was his message to Victorians. And what's he been doing this year? Been spending time at China's military parade. I want to get your thoughts, Adam, on Packer's comments. He also had a go at Andrews and saying that he really torched the Victorian state government's balance sheet, warning that the debt burden that he imposed was now impossible to fix. Can I get your thoughts on all of this?
Well, look, I think more and more Victorians are coming around to James Packer's view. I mean, the costs of COVID were absolutely enormous, and a large part of those costs were in the future, which is now. And the state is burdened with this extraordinary debt. When Dan Andrews came to office, Victorian public debt was something like $18 billion, and it's about to be $194 billion. So, you do the maths, that's a very, very large increase. So his tenure...
Yeah, that's it. And they're going to find new ways to get you. You got a spare bedroom tax going after superannuation. There's only an article out the other... I think I read it today. That Jacinta Allen's talking about raiding the super funds. Your money to pay for infrastructure.
It was shocking, and I think more and more people are realising this. And actually, I should mention that next week the IPA has a large body of research coming out just on the Andrews legacy. I wrote one of the chapters on fiscal policy, which of course was an absolute disaster. So I encourage your viewers to go and read that. But yes, look, more generally, it was a shocking premiership. And sadly, though, at the time, as you well know, it was very popular, strangely, because everyone had been... scared by, by the media, by politics.
That's it. You got to do it, otherwise you're going to lose your job. We're going to take everything away from you. We're going to force you into compliance. Another thing I want to talk about is think about early days COVID, and there was that I'm going to call it like a propaganda song that was made because Daniel Andrews, what he said was, "Let's get through these 2 weeks, and then we'll all get on the beers." Remember that? And Dan Andrews getting on the beers, and there was this song that was going around, and all the sheep are saying how much they love Daniel Andrews because he said we're going to get on the beers. Completely low brow. Like low IQ stuff from the general population. Yeah, get on the beers with Dan. Last thing I'd want to do is get on the beers with Dan.
Politicians, by so-called health experts, but I think that fear's gone away now, and people look back and they're just embarrassed, I think, a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of fear tactics being used. It was such a...
I'm still seeing people wearing masks, driving around in their car with a mask on. This is 2025. What's going on?
An awful time for many Victorians, and I'm looking forward to your work. It's such important work. We've got to look back, but looking at the state of Victoria now and moving forward, Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen says that she counts her predecessor Daniel Andrews as among her closest advisors.
Of course he is. Listen to how she runs. Like, she's straight up a clone. I thought it was Dan Andrews with the wig on. Nothing has changed here. Things are just getting worse under her leadership because good old Danny boy is probably pulling the strings in the background.
Of next year's state election, saying that her government shares the same values and same priorities as her former boss. She says that she regularly draws on Daniel Andrews for advice.
Great.
And it's interesting, Adam, this comes after an exclusive news poll for the weekend Australian revealed that the state's crime crisis is now threatening Jacinta Allen's premiership, with the opposition under new Liberal leadership with Jess Wilson seizing an advantage in the poll.
Nah, she'll get in again. General public suckers for punishment. But, Liberals going to do no better. It's like bipartisan. It doesn't matter who's in. The joint's cooked now. Good luck getting us out of it. Damage is done. Now, people think I'm a massive Labor hater. I'll just say it how it is. Hey, what have I said that's not true?
Polls for the first time in more than 12 years. What are your thoughts looking ahead for Victoria?
Well, look, I mean, I mean, it's extraordinary that she's going out there in public saying that she likes to talk to Dan Andrews, when obviously, just we've been discussing his reputation has been declining, surely. So I think that was a bad move. I think she'd be somewhat concerned about the new opposition leader in Victoria because it's something new. Most people seem to think that Jess Wilson will do a better job on the economic debate. Let's wait and see, because the Labor government's story there on economics is very, very bad. Look, I just think it's very odd that she's going out there talking about Dan Andrews like that. The crime crisis that you talked about, of course, this is created by the Labor government.
Now, apparently there was no crime crisis. There's no Apex gang. There's no African crime crisis. No Middle Eastern gang crisis. No. No, let's get some machete bins put in. All good. Job done. I remember back mid-2000s, good old, it was Danny Boy was saying that there was no gang problem and that's racism. Talking about blatant now. They're still saying everything's good here. No, everything's good, don't worry about it. There's only, I'll probably make a video on it when I get around to it. There probably was, there actually was. There was stabbings and everything, people getting chopped up with machetes even this weekend. It's not stopping. It isn't a one-off. It's constant. All right, guys, probably well past halfway. If you're enjoying the content today, you're enjoying my channel, consider subbing, like, comment, and sharing. Currently demonetized at the moment, so if you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is just to be part of the growth for when we come back online in a couple of months. Share it with your friends. Let's get it out there. I'm posting a little bit less while I'm strategizing for the next push, the next big year in 2026. On that point, put in the comments what sort of content would you like to see. Generally interested in getting your views and feedback and making content you all like. Do you like the Australian stuff? Do you like the new stuff? Do you want me to talk about other random things? Make it a multi-segmented show with different topics. I'd love to hear your feedback because 2026 is going to be a bigger and better year. And we're already at 16K. Or just about there. And next year is going to be even a bigger one. So let's make it happen and get keen to get your feedback. So if you don't want to put it in the comments, send it in an email. That's linked in the video description and pinned comment as well.
By Dan Andrews, by Jacinda Allen when she was at the cabinet table for 10 years or so before she was Premier herself. So they have created this problem, at least in part. So I think if the opposition here can finally get Victorians to understand that, then the opposition may actually have a chance.
Yeah, it's very interesting indeed. Not sure if I'd be name-dropping Daniel Andrews. I don't think it's a good thing at all. Moving away from what's happening here in Australia, let's talk about Ukraine. US President Donald Trump suggests that...
Let's leave it there. I don't want to go on about American politics, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.